Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something extremely awesome to take a look at. We have the Damtoys Giganotosaurus. This is a model I've actually had for quite a few months now, probably since early 2021, but I never got around to reviewing it. It's just been kind of sitting here in the background, actually right behind my backdrop here of my review station. It's been sitting here, so it's kind of been out of sight, out of mind, but something I've wanted to get up on the channel since I was able to get a hold of it. It's not something I was able to order. It sold out prior to me ordering one, but my good friend Jimmy was selling off a lot of his collection. This is one that was included in that collection, and he sold it to me for a very good price, so I was able to get a hold of it after it was actually sold out, which was very, very cool of him. But this is, again, another really cool model from Damtoys, as they have quite the long line now of prehistoric animals, although I haven't heard anything from them for quite a long time. I was actually just on their Facebook not long ago. It hasn't been updated since last year, so I don't know what's going on with them. I'm not sure if they're even still in business, but they were creating some really cool stuff, basically taking the place of the Dinosaur Sideshow line, which obviously Sideshow has given up on quite a long time ago, and still giving us some pretty cool prehistoric models. Now, these guys have kind of disappeared. Looks as though Star Ace is going to step in and start releasing some awesome prehistoric models. Everybody's just taking turns, I guess, but this, again, was a really nice-looking Giganotosaurus, but at the same time, I was a little iffy on picking it up initially because I felt like the proportions on it looked a little weird. Like, the tail looks, I don't know, it just looks kind of short to me. Maybe it's not. It might just be my eyes playing tricks on me. I always felt the legs looked a little bit short for my liking as well, but it also is in a crouching position, so maybe if the dinosaur were standing up tall, it might look a little different. I also felt like the head was a little too big, but that may just be the pose and the way that the head is pulled a little bit forward in comparison to the body. So there's a lot that you can look at it from one vantage point here from the front and make you question how nice it actually looks. So I'm not entirely sure if it's just the positioning of the body or if the proportions are really as off as it seems. What I can tell you, though, is it does display a pretty cool visual of a Giganotosaurus walking up along what appears to be kind of a ledge. We have a carcass down here, or the skeletal remains of a carcass, and then the Giganotosaurus looks to be letting out some sort of a vocalization here again, which does definitely look really cool. So without further ado, let's go ahead, jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Giganotosaurus, you can see that the fine detail is incredibly well done. There's a lot of beautiful texturing to the skin up here on the face. Lots of really nice scale detail to be found all over the Giganotosaurus. You can see the nostrils are sculpted out very nicely up here on the tip of the snout. The eyes are also beautifully painted, really nicely painted with kind of a variation of like sort of an off-white, but there's also some slight pinks that kind of border around the outer edge of the eye, and then you have a black pupil. It sports a very nice realistic gloss coat. The coloration of the dinosaur primarily are a few variations of browns, but there's actually a lot of color variation included throughout, as the majority is browns, but you can see that there's also like some yellows and even some hints of oranges and whites that show up throughout the course of the figure, which helps to give it a pretty realistic look, if you ask me. Again, there's nothing wrong with numerous different colorations of skin tone. I feel like that always makes a much more realistic looking model. But again, scale detail looks really good, and the way they painted it out so that you could see like lighter coloration in between the scales and everything looks very good. Definitely helps to add some depth to the paint of the model. The mouth is open, and you can see that kind of skin flap here on the side of the mouth, although I feel like it's just a little bit too far on the upper side. Like it's just sticking out a little bit too far compared to where it should be, but maybe that's just, again, something that's my eyes playing tricks on me, but definitely looks a little weird. But here on the side of the skin flap, again, we have some decent looking detailing. We also have some nice color variation with some light coloration and some reds and stuff right there. The tongue is definitely very nicely sculpted out on the inside of the mouth. You can see some very nice texturing to the tongue, as well as some really nice color variation, and that's pretty much the case throughout the entire inside of the mouth. Again, beautiful detailing throughout. Very nice, very realistic coloration as well. The teeth look great as far as the actual sculpt goes. Very nicely painted and glossed so that they look very lifelike and realistic. You can see they're painted with like an off-white, but also have some variations of browns and stuff included within them so that it doesn't look like the dinosaur's got perfect hygiene when it comes to his teeth. he definitely has a very realistic appearance as far as that goes as well. So the realism of the model is definitely nicely done. You can see the scale detail and everything here on the lower jaw also looks good. We start out with a dark brown, transition to kind of a yellowish brown here, but there's also some areas of that darker brown that show up in the lower jaw. As you move back into the neck, I really like that kind of white that they've given it here to make that scale detail pop. It's kind of like a white wash, and it really makes that detail jump out at you and just again makes it look very lifelike and alive. And since the Giganotosaurus has its head turned to the left, you can see a lot of really nice skin wrinkling, skin folding and stuff here in the neck region of the dinosaur, which also looks very nice. Same deal here for the underside of the throat. You can pick up on the throat itself, but again, more really nice skin wrinkles and stuff throughout, showing a lot of movement when it comes to the positioning of the dinosaur. You can also see that the upper side of the head has a very nicely sculpted out amount of scale detail, as well as like scutes and osteoderms and stuff up here on the top. As you lead back into the top of the neck, you start to see kind of like some scutes that run along the spinal column of the Giganotosaurus. You can also pick up on some osteoderms and stuff popping up here and there. And the coloration, again, has a few different variations of lighter and darker shades of browns, which do transition back and forth quite smoothly. As you reach down here into the side of the dinosaur, you can see the shoulder blade elaborated a little bit there from the skin. And then this is where the coloration just basically goes haywire. Like, there is color all over the place. We have so many different variations of browns. We have blacks, we have yellows, we have all sorts of stuff, orangish browns, even reddish browns in certain spots. So it's kind of hard to keep up with just how much color is included in the side of the Giganotosaurus, but I think that as well does look very nice. As you move down into the arm, you can see some nice muscle definition within the arm. Again, just tons and tons of color variation. As you move out into the hands have a very nice scute-like appearance down the course of the fingers. The nails are also painted with a nice glossy black. They look very good. There's also some reds that are on the tips of the nails of both the hands and of the feet, which looks very neat. And then moving back up here, again, you can see like some skin wrinkles and stuff here as the thigh pushes into the body, kind of wrinkling that skin up. Again, those scutes and stuff that run along the back, giving it almost an armored-like appearance down the spinal column of the Giganotosaurus. You can see lots of skin wrinkles and stuff right here, again showing off the movement of this thigh as the dinosaur's leg is pulling forward, picking up as it's stepping down and kind of crouching a little bit. You can see the entire movement is shown beautifully within the sculpt of the dinosaur, and the thigh is massive, and you can see the muscle definition is extremely well done as far as the sculpt goes. You also have the kneecap present right here, more skin wrinkles and stuff again here in the joint of the knee and the back of the knee. It looks really good. The calf muscle is also very nicely displayed and tensing again because the dinosaur is putting a lot of weight on that leg as it's crouching, so it would certainly be tensing if it were doing that. And then moving down into the foot, you again have a scute-like appearance down the course of the toes. Some more really nice color variation. I like that kind of yellowish brown there for the undersides of the toes. Really smooth transition down into that color. And you can also see that the nails again are painted with a black and then given like a reddish tip. Also beautifully glossed, so they shine very realistically. You can see that there are dew claws present, of course, there on the model. And then as we come back up here, you can see as we lead on into the tail, again, the skin stretching and stuff off of the tail, as well as some osteoderms and stuff here and there. More beautiful color variation as we have the browns kind of outlined with whites. We also have yellows and even like hints of green and all kinds of color. Like, there is just a lot of coloration, even reddish browns. There's just tons and tons of color on this model. And you continue to see again that scute-like appearance down the course of the tail as we lead out the length of the tail. There's a very nice, very smooth looking curve here to the tail, nothing overly dramatic, very realistic, I would say. As you can see, this side of the head looks pretty much just like what we had seen on the previous side. Not too much difference that you would see on one side of a head over the other side, but you can see that the eye again looks beautiful, very lifelike, really nicely painted for sure. And all of the paintwork looks pretty much like it did on the previous side, again very lifelike as well, and definitely nicely applied overall. As you move back into the neck though, you can definitely see a lot more stretching of the skin on this side, more so than the wrinkling, due to the Giganotosaurus having its head turned left, and of course would be stretching the skin more so over here than scrunching it up. So that is very nice attention to detail on the part of Damtoys and the sculptor of this model. Again, more really nice skin wrinkles and skin folds as we go down further toward the throat. More really nice color variation again, as there are just tons of color included throughout the course of this Giganotosaurus.
Moving back here into the body, you can again see the shoulder blade there elaborated from the body a little bit, some more osteoderms and stuff poking up here and there. As you move down into the very muscular arm, you can see the arm is pretty much in the same position on this side as it was on the previous side, but also looks really nice. Again, beautiful paintwork throughout the course of the entire model, and that's one thing I can say about the Damtoys line. Pretty much has been the case since the onset of the line. They've had some really nice paintwork for their models. Lots of skin wrinkles and stuff over here. You can see a little bit more of the stomach on this side because the leg is trailing as the Giganotosaurus is kind of crouching. You can see this leg is stretched back a little bit further down on the incline that the Giganotosaurus is standing on, and you can really see again how many skin wrinkles and skin folds there is in the stomach region, the lower part of the stomach leading back into the leg, the skin stretching off of the leg and everything there in the stomach region, and more really nice paintwork again with many different variations of color included. And you can of course take note to the very large kind of scoot-like appearance running down the back of the Giganotosaurus, as well as lots of osteoderms and stuff poking up here and there. The very muscular thigh and calf region, of course, as well as the kneecap present. Moving down the course of the leg, the Giganotosaurus is dragging along the backdrop currently, but try to move the camera back a little bit, make a little bit more room there. But you can see the foot sculpt again looks really nice. You have a slight tilt there in the ankle due to the positioning of the dinosaur on that incline that it is standing on. Really nice looking foot sculpt. Again, the nails are painted with that black and then given the reddish tips, as well as a beautiful gloss coat, so they very much so shine in a realistic way. The overall detailing is just incredibly well done throughout the course of this entire model. And then you lead back up into the tail, again some more skin wrinkles and stuff, again more of the movement shown of the skin there due to the positioning of the dinosaur. And you can see again, like, I love how there's like little areas where you can see like greenish washes and stuff. Like, so much color has been included throughout the course of the Giganotosaurus, and the tones of color they've chosen I feel like are definitely picture perfect for this type of dinosaur. And you can again see that turn in the tail as we lead out the length of the tail. The underside also sports some very nice detailing, as well as some really nice paintwork. Yet again, lots of variation of color throughout the course of the dinosaur in every area. Like, you can see some very light orangish browns, and then some hints of greens and off-whites and stuff. Lots of color throughout the entire course of the figure. You can also get a better look at the nails there. Like, they genuinely look sharp, so that is a really cool aspect of the Giganotosaurus as well. But a really cool looking Giganotosaurus with some potentially weird proportions to the model. And then we have our base, and our base kind of displays like a desert-like area with the Giganotosaurus standing up on a small ledge. You can also see what appears to potentially be like some light vegetation here and there. The actual like stone area, like the rock, is really nicely done. Like, there is a ton of color variation throughout, as well as a beautiful textured appearance, but the base in general just has an extremely realistic appearance to it. And it gets cooler here when you turn it from the side. You take a look at the side and the really cool ledge that it's walking up on, and you can continue to see the many different layers of color that has been added to the base to make it look as realistic and lifelike as possible. We again have the remains down here, the skeletal remains of some sort of a meal that once was belonging to our Giganotosaurus. That as well looks really cool, and I like how there's like some dirt and dust and stuff that has kind of fallen down on that, potentially from like the Giganotosaurus walking up here and maybe knocking it down on those remains down there. That looks really cool. In the area down here, like these stones and like the earthy area looks so cool as far as like the soil. It all genuinely looks about as realistic and lifelike as it possibly could. And no matter what angle you look at it from, again, it just looks super nice, super lifelike. Honestly, an incredible base. Probably one of my favorite bases I think I have when it comes to any dinosaur model. This Damtoys Giganotosaurus base is definitely at the top of that list. And then to add your Giganotosaurus to the base, you can see there are two pegs there on the undersides of the feet of the dinosaur, and then two holes on the base. You of course just have to match those up and then slide the dinosaur down, which sometimes can be a little bit terrifying, especially as you hear that thump. But it's in there quite nicely, and it stands perfectly. Again, a really cool Giganotosaurus with a really cool pose. As far as a size goes, for a length, it's absolutely a big one. You can see that it is about 20 3/4 inches, maybe a little hair over, or about 53 centimeters. Then for a height, the highest point is definitely the head of our Giganotosaurus, and you are looking at about just shy of 11.5 inches, or around the 29,
maybe closing in on 29.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, here is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Damtoys Giganotosaurus. And it is definitely a very large model, and you can clearly see that here with these models in comparison, especially Mr. Papo Rex, who is a pretty big figure himself. He is really quite dwarfed when it comes to this Giganotosaurus, although I will say the Giganotosaurus isn't quite as large as you would think it would be, considering the Carnotaurus that Damtoys had released is, larger than the Giganotosaurus. It's quite strange that the Giganotosaurus would be a little smaller, but even with that being the case, it is still an extremely impressive size and an overall very striking model. So this Damtoys Giganotosaurus is really quite nice, even if you exclude the kind of strange looking proportions. And again, I don't know if everyone's seeing it the same way I am, or if it's just my eyes playing tricks on me, but it does look like the proportions are off a little bit. And I think a lot of it has to do with the pose of the Giganotosaurus, like the head kind of leaning in a little bit makes it just look a little larger than it really is. But at the same time, I still feel like there are certainly some aspects of the dinosaur that proportion-wise are certainly off, and it's not entirely my imagination. But if you exclude those proportion issues, I feel like the model is really nicely done, as pretty much all of the Damtoys models have been since the entire onset of the line. Again, I have quite a few of them now in my collection. I have the Tyrannosaurus, Dilophosaurus, and Styracosaurus bust. I also have the Carnotaurus, the Quetzalcoatlus, as well as the Gigant Spinosaurus, and I may eventually get around to reviewing the Styracosaurus bust. That's one I have not reviewed quite yet, and I do want to get that up here on the channel. But again, the entire line has been filled with beautiful sculpts with really nice, very highly detailed paint jobs. So this Giganotosaurus follows right along with the rest of them, and I think, honestly, the base is probably my favorite out of all of the Damtoys models so far. The base is just super cool, super lifelike, very realistically done, and the paintwork and overall detailing is insanely awesome. But the Giganotosaurus, again, having a little bit of a crouched position as it seems to be letting out some sort of a vocalization, is a pretty cool pose for it. A little bit different than your average Giganotosaurus model, so I can always appreciate that. Anytime I can get something that's a little bit different, it's always a breath of fresh air. And the detailing of the dinosaur is extremely highly detailed, really nicely done, showing off pretty much every ounce of movement that would be occurring with the dinosaur for the positioning of the body. The coloration is also really beautifully applied, and I feel like it looks nice and natural for the most part, especially like tones of color wise on the dinosaur. And Damtoys has done a great job again of applying it to make it look like body color as opposed to just paint on a figure. So as a whole, this is a really beautiful piece from Damtoys. The only downside, aside from the, proportion issue, is the fact that it's sold out. And with the lack of information coming from Damtoys about any of their products, I don't know if they're still continuing on or what's going on with them, because I really haven't heard much from them in a long time. But as far as this dinosaur goes, again, I don't know if anybody actually still has any for sale. I will try to find some to link you to in the description, so maybe there are some still out there. I don't know. Again, I'll try my best to find one for you, but if not, again, keep checking websites like eBay and stuff like that. They probably pop up from time to time, so you may still be able to acquire one at some point. One way or another, definitely a fun Giganotosaurus, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.